But anyway, now I'm bringing up another story that kind of goes into that whole. I'm very fascinated, and I don't know how to make this direct connection yet, or if there even is one. Maybe there isn't, but I want to say there is. Between how social media and the internet and our access to instantaneous publishing for the world to see has affected our view on mortality, our attitude towards death. And here's an example that I want to bring up. Martin Manley, he was a journalist who recently committed suicide. This is from CNN, the sports writer who blogged his suicide. Martin Manley hated waking up early. A lot of creative folks do. That's interesting. He was a sports reporter and statistician in Kansas City. Imagine that, a creative type who hates waking up early. I feel your pain there, Martin Manley, although I usually don't have to wake up early. But on his 60th birthday, he did, or more likely, never went to sleep the night before. At 5 a.m., he entered a police station parking lot in a suburb of Kansas City, Kansas, walked to a spot beneath a tree on its far south end, and pulled out his phone. He dialed 911. He said this: "I want to report a suicide at the south end of the parking lot of the Overland Park Police Station at 123rd and Metcalf." Then, the blogger and former sports reporter for the Kansas City Star pulled out his Saturday night special, a .38 pistol, and shot himself in the head. The statistics, Manley loves statistics. His efficiency index is still used by the NBA to rate players. Tell us about 150 other Americans committed suicide that day, that somewhere around 38,000 of them will do so this year. Man, that's 38,000 people in the United States commit suicide each year. I mean, that's not a problem, really? I love how they just so casually mention that in this article. Like, oh yeah, of course they do. Now, here's what I like. Here's what's interesting to me in this article, and I'm not really a fan of this article necessarily, but call it death in the time of Facebook. Never before in the history of human communication have suicide notes been such a public affair, easily accessible to the masses and potentially lasting forever. We have this way to live on in infamy via the internet, where we can just instantly put what we want to say out there. Death in the time of Facebook. Is our attitude towards death completely altered to it really is death in the time of Facebook? I mean, now you have those websites dedicated where it's basically an online funeral home. Really. Like, it's an online, like, people have these web pages. I forget the name of the website, and it's not necessarily important, but there's websites where you can go to a person's particular page and just write to them, as if you're just sending them an email. But it's kind of like their funeral page. I had a friend in high school that took his own life. It was very tragic. And occasionally I visited his page. And people would post memories. People would post letters to him. And this guy's mom would post every day, almost every day, telling him how much she misses him and how hard it is. And that's, it's heavy to read, but it's out there for the world to see. His mom probably doesn't remember me. I don't even know if I actually ever met his mom. I'm pretty sure he met my parents before. We were friends in high school. He attended a couple parties I had at my house. We hung out a few times out in school and out of school. We were friends. We weren't like besties. I can't believe I just said that. Besties. I can't believe I just used that terminology on the air, on my radio show. I just said besties. I wonder how many people just turned the dial right now because I said besties. Hopefully nobody. Hopefully you're still listening and you're just laughing at me. Reasonably so. But anyway, this mom's deepest thoughts, her pain, is just out there for the world to see. And our attitude towards death is so much more public now. It's so much more out in the open. Because even in the United States, in the world of funerals, a lot of times we hold it in, compared to certain other cultures. We're known to kind of hold it in a little bit. I mean, yeah, we cry. We let it out a little bit. But, there's other cultures where, it's not uncommon for the person to just beat on the casket, just go nuts, just let it out, just let it out. Let out the pain you're feeling that you're not going to see this person. It's painful, it's hard. And you got to just spill it. You got to just accept it and cope with it. And death is a very difficult thing. But now there's this kind of online lives that we lead. And I wonder, I feel like it's affecting our attitudes toward death some way. Is it making it easier? I don't know. Is it making it harder? Well, I don't know that either. Is it kind of diluting our perception of what it actually is? I also think that's a possibility. I don't know. So I bring up this instance of this sports writer who blogged his own suicide. He made a website. It's martinmanley.org, and that's Martin, and then the last name spelled Manley.org, where he chronicles the way he did all this.